It wasn't just a crown. It was destiny, forged in gold, studded with gems, blessed by the church, and placed only upon the heads of emperors who dared to call themselves heirs of Rome. For centuries, this single object gave men the right to rule, and others the duty to obey. It was luxury beyond imagination, wealth beyond measure, and power beyond challenge. And then, just like that, it vanished. This is the story of the lost crown that could rule nations. Picture Europe in the year 800. The great Roman Empire, once the beating heart of civilization, has crumbled. Roads are broken, aqueducts dry, cities abandoned. The Western world is fractured into dozens of kingdoms. Warlords rise and fall like storms. Viking raiders strike from the north, Saracens from the south, and in the middle of this chaos stands one man, Charlemagne, king of the Franks. He commands armies that stretch across France, Germany, Italy, and beyond. He builds schools, churches, and palaces. He unites tribes that hated one another for centuries. But Charlemagne knows that without a higher legitimacy, his empire will not survive. On Christmas Day, 800 AD, in Rome's St. Peter's Basilica, Charlemagne kneels before the Pope. Incense swirls, the choir chants. The Pope lowers onto his head a golden crown. In that moment, the crowd erupts. Long live the Emperor of Rome. It is not just a coronation. It is the rebirth of an empire, the beginning of the Holy Roman Empire. And the crown, the object that made it real, becomes the most powerful luxury item in human history. What did this crown look like? It was unlike any other. Most crowns are circular, but this one was octagonal, 8 golden plates hinged together. Each plate carried a message. One showed King David, chosen by God. Another showed Solomon, symbol of wisdom. Prophets adorned other panels, whispering authority through enamel and jewels. The edges glittered with pearls, sapphires, garnets, and emeralds. A massive jewel-encrusted cross stood at the front. It wasn't just beautiful, it was theological. Medieval Christians saw the octagon as the number of eternity. To wear this crown was to claim that your rule, like heaven itself, was eternal. And when torchlight flickered across it, people swore it radiated divine light. The crown was not jewelry. It was a contract between heaven and earth, a luxury so potent it could manufacture authority itself. If you melted this crown today, you'd have maybe $5 or $6 million in gold and gems. But in truth, its value was infinite, because in the Middle Ages, power was not about armies alone. It was about legitimacy. Who had the right to tax cities, mint coins, or demand tribute from dukes and bishops? Whoever wore the crown. Think of it as the Federal Reserve, the United Nations, and Wall Street, all in one object. The man crowned emperor didn't just inherit gold. He inherited trust. And trust was the currency of the medieval world. A merchant would lend more money to an emperor crowned with it. A city would open its gates faster. A bishop would bless his rule with more fervor. The crown turned power into law and law into wealth. In today's terms, this single object was worth trillions. And, of course, men killed for it. Otto the Great secured it in 962, using it to forge the German nation. Frederick Barbarossa rode into Italy under its authority, fighting rebellious cities and popes. Civil wars erupted when multiple princes claimed the right to wear it. Entire dynasties rose and fell not over territory, but over who could be crowned. Imagine 2 brothers at war. Both had armies. Both had wealth. But only one had the crown. Guess which one became emperor, and which one was erased from history? It wasn't about winning battles. It was about winning symbols. The genius of the crown wasn't just its gold. It was its branding. Think of Rolex, Ferrari, or Mace today. People don't just buy them for function. They buy them for what they represent. Success, exclusivity, power. The imperial crown worked the same way. To peasants, seeing a man crowned with it meant he was chosen by God. To nobles, it meant his laws were legitimate. Even enemies hesitated because they weren't just fighting a rival, they were fighting an emperor of destiny. The crown was medieval propaganda, a luxury logo burned into the imagination of Europe, and in many ways, it was the most successful brand launch in history. Let's translate its value into finance. When a king without the crown demanded taxes, people resisted. But when a crowned emperor demanded them, they paid, because resisting was resisting God. That meant more revenue. When the emperor wanted to borrow money, lenders offered it at lower interest, because the crown symbolized stability. When the trade routes were disputed, the emperor's seal, stamped with authority from the crown, opened them. In modern numbers, the crown was like $1 trillion bond. It generated wealth not by being spent, but by being believed in. This was the world's first luxury asset that printed money without ever being sold. For centuries, emperors guarded it. It traveled from Aachen to Nuremberg to Vienna, always under heavy guard. But then came Napoleon. By 1806, the Holy Roman Empire had lasted for 1,000 years. Napoleon crushed it in a single campaign. The last emperor abdicated and the crown vanished. Some say Napoleon ordered it melted down, destroying the last symbol of Rome. Others believe loyalists smuggled it into secret vaults where it remains hidden. During World War II, rumors spread that Hitler searched for it, believing mystical powers would legitimize his rule. Some claim the Nazis seized it and hid it in the Austrian Alps. Even today, conspiracy theorists whisper that the crown still exists, in the possession of secret societies or locked in Vatican vaults waiting for the right heir. Whether fact or fiction, its disappearance only made its legend more powerful. Does the crown still matter? In one sense, no. Nations are ruled by parliaments, not jewelry. But in another sense, yes, because the principle hasn't changed. Today's crowns are luxury yachts, skyscrapers in Dubai, $100 million paintings, or trillion-dollar tech companies. They are symbols of legitimacy in a different form. When a billionaire buys a Gulfstream jet, it's not about transportation, it's about status. When a president stands in front of a national flag, it's not just fabric, it's legitimacy. The crown taught humanity that wealth and power are inseparable, that luxury can become law, that objects can rule nations. Even without the physical crown, its influence echoes everywhere. European monarchs still wear crowns modeled after it. Modern brands build empires on the same principle, trust through symbols, and the idea that a single object can transform a man into a ruler still haunts us. From corporate logos to religious icons, from stock tickers to luxury watches, symbols decide who leads and who follows. The lost crown reminds us that empires don't just collapse, they leave behind ideas, and those ideas keep ruling us long after the gold is gone. So perhaps the crown still exists. Perhaps it lies in a monastery vault, beneath dust and shadows. Or perhaps it was destroyed, its gold scattered, its gems sold. But maybe that doesn't matter, because the true power of the crown was never in the gold. It was in belief. And belief, whether in kings, nations, brands, or billionaires, is the one currency that never loses value. This was the lost crown that could rule nations, and its power still rules us today.